small arc to try to get under you. 100 feet back, making that dive. Too cool here.
That 38 is no matter what I do, he's today.
Race friends, it's time for the fastest 2 hours in motorsports. It's time for On Pit Road Racing, right here, right now, live from downtown Las Vegas on the flagship station, the WCOBM Television Network. Our race team will have all the latest news, updates, and interviews for the world of motorsports. So buckle up and pull those belts tight. The green flag is in the air, and it's time to go racing. And here are the hosts of On Pit Road Racing, Alan Michaels and the First Lady, Diane Fox.
There it is, man. It is something, Billy. It is the way technology works today, my friend.
That is great.
It is something. I'll tell you. Let me bring Billy's mic up. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to On Pit Road Racing. We are doing it live from our flagship network. That is the WCOBM. We are broadcasting downtown Fremont Street in the Neonopolis complex. Diane Fox, yours truly, Alan Michaels, and joining me today is the professor, Mr. Billy Mitchell, NASCAR wheel and modified driver, engineer, all-around business, good guy, man.
Good morning, America.
There it is. And, of course, Billy's going to be with us, and it's some racing news that we wanted to bring in. Billy and I were just talking. Billy's making his appearance. He's been on the show with us before. He's making his appearance today, but we're setting up a schedule because Billy's got a new program coming out about shop talk and how to work on your cars and how to test things and do things right. And Billy's going to be a contributor to this program a couple of times a month, so it's welcome to On Pit Road Racing, my friend.
Yeah, Mike, we're going to be putting together a YouTube channel to start off with, and the whole objective of that channel is to try and teach a whole new generation on how to do the race car stuff themselves. Everything from, setting up the front end geometry. We'll go into some of the motor stuff later on in the show, but we have a full gamut. This weekend, we're going to be talking about tire temps.
Yep.
How to take tire temps, how to read tire temps, what the objectives are. If you got one tire that you're working too much, how you're going to take some of that heat out of that tire.
That's right.
So, they used to do this back in the day in the 90s with NASCAR. They would have like a tech talk and it was very interesting. I think a lot of the gearheads, a lot of people could relate to it. They stopped doing that for some reason. And I personally enjoy it as far as being the gearhead and the engineer that I am.
Right.
And, I was a teacher for years. So, that's the objective. We're going to put the channel together. It'll be a nonprofit channel. And the whole objective is just to kind of teach, the upcoming drivers, the upcoming racers, what's going on with the car.
I saw your latest issue that you put out, and you were talking about bump stops, and you tried something and it didn't work, and you went back and looked at your all of your analog and everything else and working with your tires. So I thought that was really neat. And Diane and I were watching that this morning, and I looked at Diane, and it was sort of out of our mouths, but at the same time, he said, we need to have Billy, we got to have the professor on to do shop talk with the professor right here at On Pit Road Racing.
No, that's great. And yeah, we tried some stuff. I work with a chassis builder out of California, and we tried some new stuff that he had tried and was successful with, but for some reason my car didn't like it. So, we didn't have a lot of time to make any changes. So, but, I led 3 laps, I think it was, and then, it just killed the right front tire. So
the
whole objective, if you get too stiff on one end, then you're going to put too much heat in it. You're going to overwork that tire. And then at that point, you're just kind of doing whatever you can, hitting the rumble strips, changing your line, trying to do stuff to mitigate the issue, but it's still going to be there for 25, 30 laps.
That's the way it goes. All right, well, we're going to get kicked off the way. Indy Mike is standing by. We're going to get with him because he's got the latest from IndyCar and F1. Are you excited about F1 coming to Las Vegas?
Oh, man, I love F1.
Yeah,
I like how you got multiple tires. I think that's a great idea. It makes it more strategic. The money that's involved, the resources that they have, the technology that they're using with the hybrid motors now. It's just I mean, there's nothing else.
Nothing else. And we're going to talk all about it. Hey, the show, like we said, comes from the WCOBM studios, downtown Las Vegas, 450 Fremont Street. Show airs each and every Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Sometimes we get the full 2 hours. If we've got enough, we'll go. If not, then we back it off. We just try to make it fun and interesting. We stream this live on WCOBM.tv, Facebook channels, YouTube, and we also put everything back up on a rebroadcast that way so that you can go back and catch it up. Website is all done. It is ready to launch on pitroadracing.com. Special thanks to Tim Torres, our IT guy, and the guy that helped actually design this studio for us.
Man.
And so he's there. Show partners, the Gene Woods Racing Experience, 2 locations for you here in Las Vegas, 121 East Sunset Road. That's the big fast track out there. Or you can come downtown Fremont Street. That's the drift track. Find them on the World Wide Web at gokartslasvegas.com. Also, the Woods Family Sandwiches, 2 locations over in the Las Vegas Henderson area, right there on the line. Also, brand new up in Boulder, and you can catch them at World Wide Web. That's WFSandwiches.com. That's the Woods Family Sandwiches. It's also the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame. And we're going to talk a little bit about that towards the end of the program. And that's at the World Wide Web, hotshoe.com. Okay. And of course, our great supporters, Jeff Motley, Chris Powell, everybody at the Bull Ring and Las Vegas Motor Speedway, LVMS.com. Just to let you know, we're working out the final things here with Derek Cope and Alicia Cope. You know, Billy, Derek spent so much time, won the Daytona 500 back in 1990. Had, you know, an up and down with this Busch Grand National or Nationwide Series. I guess it was Nationwide when he was running it. Then moved to Cup. But Derek's now in a rally team. He's got a brand new book out. He's got podcasts. So, man, I think that's going to be another one, you know, to listen to is our good friend Derek Cope.
Yeah, he's a grassroots guy. I mean, he earned everything he's got. It was, you know, he's not an entitlement driver, I call him. You know, he shocked the world when he won Daytona.
Yeah.
You know, everybody was like, whoa, where'd this guy come from? It was a small team. They were low budget, and they won the race. That was back, obviously, before, you know, the corporations took over. France still owned it. You still had to qualify to get in the show. There was none of this franchise stuff going on.
Right.
And, you know, a small team like that really had a chance.
Yep, you certainly did. And you know what? It was the wildest. Right before the Daytona, that team announced that this was going to be their final season, that they were not going to run because of funding. And then Derek Cope, and of course, the rumors all fought, he got lucky. He didn't do this. He didn't do this. And Derek Cope ran in second place for about 8 to 12 laps before that tire went on Earnhardt's car. He raced. He was just at the spot. Earnhardt's bad luck that day put Derek Cope in the winner's circle, man.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. You hear everybody say, well, he was lucky, right? Well, what is luck? Luck is where preparation and opportunity meet.
Yeah.
You know, you put yourself in a position to where, you know, you can be lucky. You know, if you're running back in the mid-pack or you don't show up for the race or you don't qualify for the race, well, you're not even going to put yourself in a position to be an opportunity and you know, take advantage of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, it was something. In fact, when I get him on the show, I've interviewed him a couple of times, but one question that always sort of when he was coming down as they were heading down the backstretch into turn 3, did he see Earnhardt's tire blow? I got to ask him that question. Did he see it pop? Did he see it blow? Did he knew Earnhardt was in that trouble right then and there? And like a cat on a mouse, he just pounced, man.
Well, that's it. I mean, even in racing, you're just looking for the door to open and you take advantage of it. A lot of times, you know, I've been there. I'm not thinking, you know, what happened.
Right.
I'm just saying, hey, there's the opening. I'm going.
Let's do
that's
it.
The bottom line.
Real quickly, too, if you'd like to be a part of this program and like to be a guest, contact Diane Fox at 702-803-0875, Monday through Fridays from 9 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Or you can drop us an email at onpitroadracing@gmail.com. We'll put you in this segment called Racing Around the Country. That's what Billy's here doing. He's racing around the country with us today, and we'd love to have you on. All we need is a photo, a short bio, and Diane will get back in touch with you, and we'll get you booked on the show. How about it? Let's get to some racing news, and let's get it started off. You said that you liked all the F1 and everything else, so let's do it. Let's bring him in from Columbus, Ohio. He's standing by. He is our IndyCar guy, F1 guy, Michael Togney, better known as Indy Mike. Good afternoon, and welcome back to the show, my friend.
Well, it's good to be back, and good afternoon to everybody out in Las Vegas. How's everybody doing?
We're hot, man. It's hot. It's warming up, man.
It's warming up this weekend. It's almost going to be 100, Mike.
Yeah, I'm liking that.
Well,
okay, Mike, let's get started. IndyCar racing, man. Take us to it, man.
Yeah, we went to Long Beach last weekend, and about 2 weeks ago now, and lost in Kyle Kirkwood's first IndyCar victory for driving for Andretti Autosports. And by the way, nice rebound for Andretti Autosports. They've had a tough go over it the last two and a half seasons, but they placed first, second, and fourth. I predicted Brian or Colton Herta would have been the winner, but he did grab a fourth place. But lost in all that was some accusations of rough driving, and the Iceman, Scott Dixon, who's known for his being cool and calm, was furious on the radio. He ended up with a last place finish. About 20 to 21 laps into the race, he was dive bombed by Pato O'Ward and took him out of the race. And O'Ward kept going, and then later on he spun himself out. I think Dixon's frustration was equal parts mad at Pato for making that kind of move that early in the race.
Right.
If I'm O'Ward, I don't do it. And I certainly don't do it to a six-time champion, the seasoned veteran of the series. If there's somebody that's a younger, lesser experienced guy, maybe 5 years or less, unsuspecting, I might have tried it. But still, 20 laps into an 85-lap race is not the time to do it, and especially on somebody like Dixon. So Dixon was mad at that, and he was also upset with race control, inconsistencies in race control.
Right.
And so there was no further action on the incident with Dixon. And a few laps later, when O'Ward took himself out, they said no further action. So I think it was a double whammy. Now I go back to O'Ward. I think his over-eagerness to try that move that early. Well, he started the year with 2 second-place finishes, which sounds pretty good, but he lost the lead both times. He lost on a last lap pass at Texas Motor Speedway to Joseph Newgarden. Yep. These things happen at high school ovals. But the gut punch was the season opener in St. Pete, where he's leading with 8 or 10 laps to go, and coming off the last turn onto the straightaway, the power cut off briefly, a fuel pickup problem. Same thing happened last year in Mid-Ohio. So he's, what do I got to do to win a race? And I think he was probably a little too impatient, probably a little too steaming mad from all those near misses in the last year and a half, and decided to go for it when he probably should. Years down the road, he may not make that same move on anybody that early in the race.
That might be one, Billy. That might be one that he'll regret down the road, right?
Yeah, there. I'm curious. Who's he drive for? What team owner is it?
Okay, that's McLaren. McLaren with Chevy Power, the former Sam Schmidt team.
Got it.
Sam Schmidt is a Vegas guy. And so that was used to be Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports, and then Arrow and then McLaren bought into it. They were a Honda team for the longest time, rather, and they switched to Chevrolet. So Chevrolet must have thrown them a bunch of money. That left James Hinchcliffe, a Honda spokesman, without a ride. Kind of feel bad for him, but he's doing fine with the broadcasting. And McLaren has really come on. They got a 4-car effort coming up at Indianapolis, the 4th car being 2013 winner Tony Kanaan and his final, he says, his final, in 500.
Probably a full season, but he'll probably run some limited stuff, I would guess.
Well, yeah, he still might do the Tony Stewart SRX series, things of that nature. He's a great ambassador for the sport. He won't be going anywhere. He just might be leaving the cockpit, but I see a future for him in broadcasting, that sort of stuff.
Maybe the administration team, a team director or something like that. Somebody's going to pick this guy up. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Perhaps be a driver coach to the young up and comers.
Yeah,
that's true.
Anything else on IndyCar before is there anything else on IndyCar? Because I got one little subject I want to touch with you on this one, but go ahead.
No, IndyCar is good. They had it was a scheduled 2-day test last week, but the second day, as usual, got washed out. So all 33 cars ran at the Speedway a week ago tomorrow, and Joseph Newgarden led the parade, 227 miles an hour. Right on his heels, another Chevy-powered vehicle, Connor Daly, local favorite. What you got, Mike or Alan?
Actually, we were talking about this earlier, that Kyle Larson was announced today. In fact, I just got a press release on this, that Kyle Larson is heading to either Team McLaren or where it might be to get fitted for a seat. Now, the double is out this year, but Kyle's planning on doing the trip from Indy 500 down to the Coca-Cola 600. Any other information you heard about that, Mike?
Well, no, other than they planned a year in advance, which nobody's really done before. It's all been done in the late winter, early spring of that year's double. But he's taking his time. They're getting everything laid out in advance. there's not many Cup weekends that are off, but any off time that he does have, he's going to spend hanging out and learning the personnel and the techniques of the open wheel program with McLaren in preparation for the May 2024 Indy 500. So yes, it's important. You got to get that seat fitted. Hopefully he doesn't gain or lose any weight. He still stays in that frame of his, and because those things aren't cheap.
Like for drinking beer, It's,
well, yeah.
I don't know, Billy. How much does it cost to have one of those seats made? There's got to be a couple grand in there.
Well, you have the seat and then you have the insert. But, Kyle Larson, I don't know if you guys have been following on his off weekends. He's cleaning house on the dirt right now. Yeah. He's not only running, late model stuff, in different series back there in the Southeast, but now he's running modifieds. And his first time out in a modified, an open wheel modified, he won.
Right.
So, I think he finished second the second time. This was just the past weekend. So he's, obviously he can run anything. He's got tons of talent. He's another young Tony Stewart.
Yeah.
This guy is just given, NASCAR kind of gave him a black eye. He came back smelling like roses. So, to see him getting an Indy car, I think you have a pretty damn good shot. He could win it, and he could win the NASCAR deal the same weekend.
You know what? It was pretty wild about that. He pulled the thing that happened. NASCAR suspended him for the year. You said he went racing, dirt racing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 88 events, and out of 88, he won 82 of 88 events.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
You just can't deny the guy's got tons of talent.
It's unbelievable. Mike, how about F1 information for us? What's going on with all those big expensive cars, man?
Big expensive and fragile, as are the egos in some cases. But we are nearing the end of a nearly month-long break. We're back at it this Sunday. And just coming up, I think next week or the week after is Miami, the first of 3 stops in the United States this year.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Fernando Alonso.
Give me, at least give me a test in one of those cars. I'm game, man. I would love. That's a bucket list thing for me. I'd love to drive one of those cars.
Actually, you guys, I wanted to tell you this. I actually just got hooked up with a guy on LinkedIn that is the gentleman that is in charge of the entire paddock area for F1 in Canada, and he is also in charge of the paddock area for the Las Vegas race. So
yeah, we're going to talk.
We got some hookups coming here, boys and girls. Mm-hmm. Mike, go ahead. F1 report for us, my friend.
Yeah, F1, Verstappen leading the points. Fernando Alonso, 3 third place finishes to start the year, all podiums. And it looks like a career revival. He on some lesser teams there for a while. He tried the Indy 500 a couple of years, missing one of those years even. Ironically, driving a McLaren when he was beat out by Kyle Kaiser in a very, at the time, underfunded team. Got bumped out of the 500. But he's with Aston Martin now, new life breathing that program. And he seems to be doing well. He's kind of flying under the radar, letting Red Bull and Mercedes fight it out along with Ferrari every now and then. But here's Fernando, the old guy on the circuit, one of 2.
I love it, man. I love it. Yep. Yeah, I love it for both the team and for him. They're a top 3 team, and they're legit every week. It's not a fluke.
What about Lewis Hamilton? I've heard some talk about that. This could be. Is he on the last year with Mercedes and that team? Could somebody? I heard a Ferrari could be chomping at the bit to get a hold of him. Would that?
Ferrari that would be something. Ferrari certainly has the financial resources to go after him.
Right.
How happy he is. Look here.
Dedicated.
Not to get off track.
Go ahead.
Not to get off track. No pun intended. But the marriage there with McLaren and Hamilton. Look at the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. He now suddenly goes to the Jets. So sometimes you just need a fresh start. Look at Alonso, for example.
Okay. Any other news? Last time we talked, we know that the negotiations with Andretti Motorsports, Cadillac, GM. Any other news on that? I think this could go down. I do. I think this could be something that we could see Andretti not only in IndyCar, Billy, but he could also be going in. And of course, they in the prototype racing in Daytona, the Rolex, they run those prototype Cadillacs. Now, can Cadillac get an F1 car ready to go? But I think if anybody could pull it off, I think it could be Andretti Motorsports.
I think it'd be if Cadillac came into it, it'd be a hell of a shot in the arm for the American, market.
Yeah,
for sure.
American name like Cadillac. You got the internationally famous Andretti name. They have the resources. Like I said, back about Long Beach, a good revival weekend for the whole team. A good shot in the arm. Need some more of those weekends. As far as putting the car on the grid with Cadillac in 2024, it's starting to get probably a little too late for that. So more realistically, I would look at 2025 at the earliest.
Right.
As far as the FIA approval, nothing new on that front, Alan.
Okay. All right. Indy Mike, social media, where they can find you at, man. We're getting you set up. I'm going to talk to Tom tomorrow. We'll get you hooked up. We're going to send him over to Indianapolis. Then we're going to fly him out here because he ain't seen no good real stock car racing, and he might be chomping at a bit to join us for that F1 event too. So
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we're going to get Mike out. Mike, where can we, before we let you go, we got our first commercial break. Before we let you go, where they can find your social media and everything else.
I'll keep it pretty low, just on Facebook.
There you go, man. We got to make you a special Indy Mike Facebook page, man. That's it, celebrity style, right?
Exactly.
Mike, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you.
See you later, bud.
We'll talk to you next week, my friend. Have yourself a good weekend. Enjoy the racing. And where are they at? Where is F1? Is it Asperana? Where are they at?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but that's where they're at.
Pretty close, wasn't it? We actually, Diane and I used the Google, and we did the best. And the way the Google said it, I guess that's where it's at. We'll do that. Mike, thanks a lot. On Pit Road Racing right here on the WCOB. And my co-host today, Mr. Billy Mitchell, the professor. We're going to take a very quick break, 2 minutes. We'll be back, and we'll talk more racing right after this,
Billy,
everybody.
Alan,
He's going to do a little arc to try to get under you.
Welcome to my world. Handicapped man down at a charity feed. Great spread this morning. God, it was horrible. But it made what I needed to happen. Then I had these people that stopped and said, "Hey, you want some shoes?" I said, "Yeah, I was going to need to get some anyway." So might as well. And if it really comes to fruition, help them buy more shoes so that we can help more people. I'm not but you know what I mean. Hell, might as well. There's nothing wrong with helping someone. You know, it makes for good karma or good energy, whatever it takes. Hell, I ought to do a product placement for Coca-Cola, too.
You're pushing it, Turtle, but have a good day. Thanks, mate. I appreciate you coming on camera.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man.
All right, talk to you later.
Later, dude.
Are you ready for the wildest ride on Fremont Street? The Gene Woods Racing Indoor Go-Kart Track Experience. 450 Fremont Street, suite number 171 on the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Fremont Street. Open 7 days a week, noon until midnight. Strap yourself in, pull your safety belts tight, and feel the power and the speed at the Gene Woods Racing Indoor Go-Kart Track Experience, downtown Las Vegas, Fremont Street, 450 Fremont Street, suite number 171, right on the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Fremont Street. What are you waiting for? Log on, get your tickets now. It's time to go racing at the Gene Woods Racing Indoor Go-Kart Track Experience, 450 Fremont Street, downtown Las Vegas.
Come on, man. That's it. On Pit Road Racing. On, down Las Vegas, everybody. Coming to KLPM, right to business. And Diane says hello.
Diane.
Diane's watching on the thing. She woke up this morning. She'd had a little problem. She got a little dose of pneumonia, so they got some antibiotics. They got that cleaned up. Then she woke up this morning itching and this, and her face looked like a blowfish. And she goes, I can't go on the air looking
Wow.
like this. So Diane's home sort of just hanging tight at home. You know what I mean? She'll
Well, I
be
hope
back.
you're feeling better.
Yeah,
for sure.
She'll be back next week. Hey, real quickly, I got to do some stuff to pay some bills here. Weather,
Okay.
let's check it out. Race weather for you this weekend. And here in Las Vegas, it's going to be sunny, hot with highs right around 90. Nighttime lows is going to be around 60. Okay. For Dover this weekend, for the Monster, 70% chance of rain all 3 days. Oh, my goodness. Get your rain delays and get your rain tubs there.
Rain tires.
Rain tires out. Rain tires, mid-60s. Nighttime lows in the 40s. Birmingham, Alabama, man, we're looking at 50% chance of rain. Daytime highs in the mid-70s, nighttime lows in the 50s. Charlotte, North Carolina for the NHRA this weekend. Rain, rain, please go Ray, because there's 50 to 70% chance of rain there. Daytime highs up in the lower 70s, nighttime in the 50s. And Asmarana, I guess as close as that I'm going to get to, partly sunny, mid-70s, nighttime lows in the mid-50s for F1 racing. Weather, trackside weather brought to you by the Woods Family Sandwiches, World Wide Web, WFSandwiches.com, Billy. Last weekend, bull ring, man. How about a local race?
Woo! Awesome weekend. Weather was great in Vegas, brother.
Am I correct there? Jeff Peterson swooped the Sigma Performance Series Pro Late Models, man. He just kicked some rear, didn't he now, man?
Yeah, he's got that car on rails, and kudos to him. I mean, he can't, his crew comes in from California, I think.
Yeah.
He's with Kylie Barker or Carly Peterson now, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So Kylie raced modified. She's the one who started on the pole and started the race. She did a great job.
Right.
Everybody was competitive in the modified class. I think Sam Jackson says here won that.
Yeah, you got there. You got Jason Kaiser in the Super
Yep.
Stocks 20-lap feature there. Then you got Cody Brown, who won the Underground Legends skid plate racing. Have you ever driven a skid plate car?
I have not, but man, it looks like a blast.
I'd like to try it.
Oh yeah, for sure. We should do like a celebrity thing, maybe in junction with the F1 stuff. That'd be great.
That would be so. Yeah, maybe I could talk Gene into getting us a couple of skid plate cars. That'd be
Sure,
really.
I'm sure TJ would go for that.
He'd like that. Okay,
For
and
sure.
you said it right, Billy. Sam Jackson, man, what is that? His 4th or 5th win of the year? This guy's he's rocking. Man.
He's doing very well, and Kyle's racing too. Kyle and I got into a little deal, but it's a racing deal. In the heat race, we got to be a little more calmer, like he was saying in the F1 race. It's a heat race. You don't go 3 wide in a heat race. You definitely don't put the bumper to somebody in a heat race. So you're taking a lot of risk, but I mean it's a lot of fun. Local racing. If you've never been to the bull ring, it was Heroes Night.
Yep.
They had the police, they had the fire, they had this huge, biggest flag I've ever seen. They had it up on cranes.
Right.
They opened it up. They had the two fighting it out on the skid plates. They had the trailer races. If you've never seen that, they had these 3 vehicles that were trying to take out, the boats. It was hilarious. I mean, I'm looking at it going, wow, I've never seen them do this before.
Right.
And they had tons of boats. If you got an old truck, you want to be involved in it next time, get with TJ Clark. He's looking for people to do it. It's a blast. They had the fireworks. They ended it up with the fireworks. A great local show. They're going to do it all again. I don't know if they're going to do the fireworks and all that, but we're going to race again, not this weekend, but the following weekend out at the bull ring. So you can come out and watch me race my car. So, we're going to be doing some podcasts. Like I said, we're going to talk about, what the notes that we got off the car last weekend.
Right.
That was the first weekend we got to run the car since the new motor.
Right.
And Pep helped me out with the motor here locally. So, now we're going to start tuning in the car and giving the car what it needs. So hopefully it can be a little more competitive.
And wrapping it up, like you said, you had the Metro guys in Las Vegas Fire Department out there, and they had a big celebrity, and they had 4 lap, and the skid plates had I had to see this. Johnny Patterson from the fire department takes the badge of honor there from all those guys. That's what's going on with that. So, and of course, Billy just said that they'll be racing out there in 2 weeks. And don't forget, we're going to be out there on the night of fire. We're going to take this whole setup, Billy, and set it up on the night of fire out there.
That's the last race of the season for the NASCAR series. So they changed the season around because it gets so hot. No one wants to be out there even at night. So the last race of the season will be the night of fire. It's going to be sold out. If you have not got your tickets, get your tickets. They run out of tickets, they got the the area over there with the RVs and everything, the corral or whatever they're calling that.
Stockyard, man.
Stockyard, that's it. So you can go over there and barbecue. I think they give you free passes with that. If you still can't get in, call me up. I'll put you part of my crew when you'll be out there. Just bring your own tires, okay? And it's going to be a blast. So come on out. The fireworks, bring the family out. It's about the most fun you're going to have with your clothes on.
There you go. And you know what I like about it, too, and I've said this before. Of course, we want to promote no matter where you're at, because, Billy, this show is heard not only here in Las Vegas, it's worldwide, okay? Support a local track, whether you're in the Carolinas, South Carolina, Florida. If you're out in California, there's some great racetracks there. Up in Oregon, there's some great racetracks. Utah's got some great stuff. Arizona, no matter where you're at, get out and support a local racetrack, because the Kyle Bushes, the Earnhardts, the Pettys, all the people that you've watched on television through the years, and the up-and-coming stars, they were grassroots racers, Billy, and that's where they started.
Well, this is the other deal, too. I was talking to somebody about this earlier. They go to the NASCAR race. The races are typically long. Okay, so you're sitting up in the stands. I'm not going to say they're boring, but they're long. They get drawn out. You know, it's kind of an endurance thing. You're not going to see that on the short tracks. The short tracks, you got 20, 30 laps to get it done, to get up through the field. A lot of times they're going to have over 25 cars. So as a driver, you don't have the time. So you got to make your move and go for it in the main event, which creates a ton of excitement. The races aren't nearly that long. They got several classes going on. It's very entertaining and very exciting.
We saw that last weekend. We went down to Speedway motorcycle racing in Costa Mesa.
Oh,
4 bikes on the track, 5 laps, man. And I mean, it is so quick. When you got bikes out there running on methyl alcohol, man, I mean,
oh yeah,
it is something to see. And in fact, next week's show, we got my good buddy from Ken from XRS Television. He does a lot of flat track and speedway. We hooked up, and then we've got a whole big thing we're going to do next week. Real quickly, let's get on to some racing. I'm going to cover some NHR, then we'll get to NASCAR. NHR heads back to the original start of 4-wide. It's the second visit for the 4-wide format in Charlotte, North Carolina at the ZMAX Raceway. Man, going to be a really good one. Top Fuel, Steve Torrance from Capco leads Justin Ashley. Big move on the move. Antron Brown moves up into the 4th spot, man. He is driving really, really well. Funny car. Matt Hagan for Tony Stewart's just kicking butt.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's no joke.
He is.
He and Tony Stewart. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
He got his first win out here in Vegas on the alcohol drags. I mean, unbelievable. I'm telling you, he's going to go full-time Top Fuel too, probably next year. And I know Tony pretty well, so I mean, it's kudos to him, and I wish him the best luck. He's happiest I've ever seen him his whole life. He's married. You know, they're talking about having a family already. I said, good for you, Tony. It's about damn time.
That's it. Anyhow, just to let you know, 105 points. Matt Hagan on top of last year's defending champion, Ron Capps, man. 105 points this early in the season, boy. Ron, you better dial that Toyota up, buddy, because it's got to row. Dallas Glenn, what a shock this is. 51 points up on Troy Kaufman. Erica Enders, who owned Las Vegas Motor Speedway and the Strip, just couldn't pull it off last week. It was
they even came and tested too. They came. I follow them on their podcast.
Yeah.
They came out to Vegas and tested during the week. They were very optimistic, but man, the competition's just tough.
Dallas Glenn picking up 2 wins in a row. He's 51 points up on top of Troy Kaufman Jr. Pro Stock Motorcycles are back in action at ZMAX Raceway, and it's Cage Herrera right now up on top. Okay, so they're going to be doing that. And, of course, after that, they're going to be heading on to Illinois. So we'll be there. Some sad news. Brandon Moore, the Raceway Brandon Moore, the family is selling that track. So the Mile High Denver Nationals pretty much after this year, Billy, it's out the door. They're hoping to find a new facility to put that in. But I guess it came down to the money. When somebody offers you a lot of zeros at the end of the check, you sell it out if that's where you're going to go, man. It opened up back in 1958. That was the original, man, the original Denver Mile High Nationals. So that's going to be there. Elite Motorsports has announced that Peter Berner is going to be joining the Pro Stock team. He'll join with Erica Enders. We just got done talking to her, man. Also this weekend, this is going to be funny. This is going to be funny. You know, the bigger, the better, the toddlers they are, well, they're going to have toddler and the trike races with all the NHRA kids and family members out there. So we got cool. Big wheel races here, man. But
that's good.
Toddler races there, so you can catch all that action. That should be really, really fun. And, of course, ZMAX Raceway. Now, have you heard this? NASCAR versus the NHRA Celebrity Racing. Okay, at ZMAX Raceway, and I don't think they're going to put them in funny cars or Top Fuel.
Skid plate.
Or
that'd be awesome.
Skid plates down.
Come on now.
That would be something.
That'd be great.
That would be something to see. But anyhow, Tony Stewart's really doing something we just talked about then. He's going to feature his wife and they're going to go head-to-head with Matt Hagan on the track.
Oh yeah, Leah's no joke. I mean, she was competitive. You know, she still is. She's been around. She's a veteran.
So just to let you know, here's a couple of matchups. Justin Haley's going to take on Tyler Reddick.
Mm-hmm.
Three-time Top Fuel champion Antron Brown will face off against Bubba Wallace.
Oh wow!
And former Funny Car World Champ J.R. Todd is going to go up against Ty Gibbs.
Well, that's a different.
I mean, that's something right there. And of course, Tony Stewart and his wife, Leah Pruitt's going to go head-to-head. And I think that what this is going to be is that they're going to run those historic street cars, or what they're going to do.
Tony, you better be careful, man. I'm just saying, you know, there's implications here. You don't want to take her out.
It could be a long plane flight home.
Your eyes spell for you, Tony, brother, if you know what I mean.
Anyhow, the Worldwide Nationals gets kicked into Seahawks Raceway this weekend. Get your tickets at NHRA.com. It's just a ball. That ought to be something. Yeah, I mean, now, do you tell Matt Hagan off the bat, just blow the race, man? I mean, or is the competition, we all got to fly home on the same plane together. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's for charity. So, it's a celebrity thing. It's for entertainment, and that's important. I mean, people are starting to realize, I like to see that the different series are getting back to, what made them big, like back in the 90s and early 200s. It has to be entertaining. We understand there's a business side to it, but it still has to be a sport.
Yeah.
And it still has to be entertaining. People got to want to tune in because, you got to sell commercials. You got to make money. And if you don't do that, it ain't going to happen. So I'm glad to see that, TJ's doing a great job out at the bull ring, doing a lot of fun stuff for families and everything else. And now you're starting to see it at the series level too, with all this kind of stuff. So it's very entertaining.
It's really neat. Talk a little NASCAR. How about it? Nobody ever thought this was going to happen. Boy, they thought after he left Joe Gibbs, he was going to be washed up for the season, maybe a second-hand driver.
Yeah.
And so with everybody, as we like to say at our house, Kyle Busch.
Oh, yeah, Kyle's on it, man.
Tell him about Talladega, man. Kyle held them all off, man.
Oh, yeah. Again, it goes back to, the opportunity. You got to put yourself there. That's no slouch. He's with a great team. They got great equipment. You're putting yourself in a position to take advantage. You can call it luck, but like I said before, it's where opportunity and preparation meet.
Yeah.
So, he was there. We know how restrictor plate works. You got to be there at the end.
Yep.
A couple guys got together. Next thing you know, here's Kyle, the old veteran, hanging out,
We used to remind me, it didn't sort of happen. Remember the days with Dale Jarrett, man? Remember when they went out, Dale Jarrett would win the pole?
Right.
You get a point or two for that. Then if you led the first lap, you got a point for that. Then what Dale Jarrett would do, he'd
go to the back.
He'd hightail it to the back. He said,
smart racing. Let all the kids beat up on each other and run their crap. Especially it's such an arrow track.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to pass as many cars. Yeah, it's that simple, right? It's
he just made his little maneuver at that point. He did. Kyle Busch, your winner. Ryan Blaney out there. Chris Buescher up on the top 3 points. It's looking like this. It's Bell, Ross Chastain, Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch. And Larson's up in there, too. We've been talking about that. Talladega, man, it was just something. It was absolutely crazy. Up next for the Cup guys after this weekend, they'll be going up May 7th up to Kansas Speedway, all right? Jeb Burton held off Sheldon Creed and Parker Kligerman to pick up the Xfinity win. Points right now still stands at Austin Hill, John Hunter Nemechek, Chandler Smith, and Las Vegas native Riley Herbst. They're along with Josh Berry. Next up for them, April 29th, they head to Dover coming up, all right? And, of course, the Truck Series has had a couple of weeks off. They're back in action May 6th. Ty Majeski leads Zane Smith, Ben Rhodes, Corey Helm, and Christian Eckes in there, man. Did you hear about Alex Bowman? A little news about Alex Bowman today, man. He's out for 4 or 5 races.
Yeah. He's playing around on his free time and, got hurt. It's as common. These guys, especially during race season, they got to understand that they're professionals. It's not any different, from, what anybody else does. You get hurt, you can't work. Well, what are you going to do? You can't represent your sponsors. You can't represent your team. Right. So you got to be smart. I get it. You want to go out and have fun and do stuff, but I think he was off-roading or something.
Yeah, doing something.
That's pretty risky. You don't know what's coming up. I've seen some stuff from Baja down in Mexico where they sabotage the track, and I'm not saying that's what happened, but do they really need to take that risk when their bread and butter is racing NASCAR and they got sponsors?
Question for you: if you were Rick Hendrick, if you were Joe Gibbs, Richard Childress, and you had talent like that, would you put in the contract when it's racing season, and there ain't nothing else? Would you do that?
You know, I think I would, because you got an investment there, and you know, you're signing them up. It's not any different than like the Knights here, you know, that are playing tomorrow, wrapping up. Go Knights, go! And then, but you know, they got their claws. They can't be screwing around out in the desert, running around, you know, 200 mile an hour and hoping that nothing breaks on the car.
Doing them sand buggy things and all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I love that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I got, you know, all kinds of toys and everything. But, you know, if I'm representing a multi-million-dollar sponsor and I got a team, you know, that I got to, you know, stay healthy for,
right?
You know, you got to be smart. Come on, let's be for real here. You're getting paid to do this. You're a professional. So, you know, maybe you shouldn't be taking those chances.
I think you just hit it right there. I mean, you know what, you know, we understand about Chase Elliott, but you got to think about this. You're the buyer for Napa. Mm-hmm. You're the guy that wrote that check for $15-20 million to go to Hendrick to run that team. And now the guy that you're promoting, the guy that's selling your brand, is now out for 5 to 6 weeks due to a broken leg over a ski board. Yeah. I mean, I think teams and owners need to watch this, because all it takes, I'm sure that there's clauses, Billy, you've been in this business long enough, there's clauses in those contracts that says they can pull that money if you don't stay on the line of the contract, man.
Well, that's it. You got an obligation to race. That's what you get paid to do. If you cannot do it, well, then should you get paid? Probably not. Yeah. You know, it's not any different. You know, it's then, you know, working for the government. Right. You know? It's like, you know, you're getting paid to show up and do your job. If you don't show up and do your job, should you be paid?
No, there's no check at the end of the week.
No, this ain't COVID.
And nothing to take away from Josh Berry, who did a great job subbing in. He's going to be subbing in again. And this is going to, you know what? All this is definitely nothing else. You got to think, Billy, you've been around doing this. Josh Berry setting in for the first time. Now he's going to set in. He's drawing some eyes. He's drawing some attention because he's he's taking good care of the car. It's bringing it home not too beat up and banged up. You got to love that.
That's an A team too.
Yep. That's
so. I mean, that's a great opportunity for him.
Yeah, I see him maybe another year at Junior Motorsports in the Xfinity Series, and then moving up. Of course, Junior's talked about going into the thing that Junior says that he absolutely will not do is he will not pay for a charter. That was the last thing that I've heard. That he said that is what his.
You know, and that's another issue. I don't I understand the business point of it, but at the end of the day, whatever happened to making these teams qualify? You know, it used to be set up where you could build a car, and as long as it went through tech and it was safe and it met the rule book, that you could go out and qualify no matter who you were. You look at, you know, like the Copes, you look at the Morgan McCure, they did everything in their, you know, in their little shop, even their engines and everything, and how many Daytona 500s did they win?
Look at the late great Alan Kowicki. Look at that right there.
Those days, they need to go back to that. That's what made NASCAR great. The other thing is let them race. Let them be personalities. You know, when these guys have conflict, you're going to have conflict. It's competitive sport. You're not going to agree. Let them have it out. It's entertainment. It creates drama. It creates more of a storyline where, you know, like you use Kyle Busch, you know, look how many times they've put the choker chain on him with Eminem and said, and Eminem's told him, well, if you say that again, you know, we're going to pull our sponsorship. Stupid. You know, let them do it. You're going to get more coverage. You're going to get more exposure. They've totally lost what made NASCAR great in the mid 90s. Right. Okay. Because they're trying to push an international market and go completely corporate. You know, I don't want to use the W word here, but they did screw up and did that. Right. So now I think they learned from that. So as far as the sport goes, if they don't do it, they're not going to get the sponsors. They're not going to get the TV, you know, watching the people watching, because nobody wants to watch a whole bunch of spoiled entitled brats run around in circles. I mean, come on now. We want to identify who they were. Same thing with the cars. You see, everybody knows these cars aren't, you know, stock cars no more. I don't even know why they call it NASCAR anymore. Okay, I know I'm going to make a lot of enemies here, but they're not. I mean, everything on that car is one-off. You got to buy it from NASCAR. Yeah. You got to buy motors for 1 of 3 people. You can't buy them. You got to lease them. Yeah. Okay, so now you've created monopolies. So now you don't have these small teams that can come in and race or qualify their way into the races. Okay, that's why even Junior, you got Dale Earnhardt Jr. Right. Which, you know, if he comes in, that's a great business move for NASCAR because it's going to bring fans. It's going to bring a whole bunch of money with it. Yeah. Okay, but they're going to make him buy a charter? Yeah. I mean, excuse my language, what the hell's a charter in motorsports?
I remember the day going to Bristol, Martinsville, Wilkesboro, Rockingham, and there'd be 52 to 56 cars, and they were fielding 43 at the time, okay? And so they would run first round of qualifying on Friday, then usually on Saturday they had they had Xfinity, or back in that day, Busch Grand National racing then, or maybe they would bring the modifieds in, okay? But after that, before that race started, there was second round of qualifying for the Cup guys.
Right.
And none of all this freebie get-in things, I'm going to use my freebie because I didn't get in this week, or the past champion freebie, and all this other stuff. No.
Provisional.
A provisional stuff.
Yep.
If a top team, I'm just going to put this out. Let's just say off of the top that let's go with Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson has a really bad weekend. He doesn't make it in. He doesn't get a provisional. Who has he got to answer to the next time around? Well, he's got to answer to the sponsor.
That's right.
Why didn't you make the race?
100%.
Stop all this stage racing. Stop all this lucky dog stuff. You remember, Billy, back in the days, the front, and then if you were a lap down, then you had to race your way. They threw the green flag, lead cars on one, and let them race back. That's what racing was about, my friend.
Yeah, it was a sport. Now there's always a balance. I get it. Anytime you got all this amount of money going on and everything going on, you got to find that balance. And I think they've gone too far towards the business aspect. Right. And I don't want to say they got greedy, but they kind of got greedy, Now they need to go back the other way and say, okay, what made NASCAR great in the mid-90s? That was their heyday.
Yeah.
Okay, you had a lot of drivers. They were entertaining because they were normal people, most of them. Even Earnhardt, he wasn't entitled. Even though his dad raced, he had to work his way through.
Sure.
And, for the longest time, I remember a lot, he was the bad guy. They called him the Intimidator. Well, then he made the flip, and a lot of people, saw him as a good guy as he got older.
Right.
Okay, but he was the last guy you wanted to see in your mirror, because you knew that if there was a lap to go, you were getting moved.
Yeah.
It was going to happen. You knew it. You were hoping that it was going to happen, soon enough to where you could retaliate.
Right.
That was the bottom line.
Rusty Wallace's rule was when it came down to 2 goes, you got 3 choices. You can either lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way because I'm coming, man. I'm coming.
That's right.
That's it. Hey, we talked about the inductees here before we go to a commercial break. Let's talk about this, and then we're going to get into you and how you got started racing and what's going on with you. How about that? So, man, we got some new people coming in. I think one of the Burton boys got in first today. Let's start it off, Billy. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jeff Burton. He's the older of all of them. He raced with Roush for years. If you guys don't know who he is, very talented. Won a lot of races. Won some championships. Very talented. He deserves it. The next one, you got Ron Hornaday Jr. A lot of people don't know this, but he was from, Bakersfield, California. Him and his family started Victory Circle Chassis, which still exists. Somebody else bought it, but it still exists today. He got hired by Teresa Earnhardt, Dale Earnhardt, when they went truck racing.
Right.
And they worked out of their family shop right there at their house for years when Dale Jr., they were building late models and they were racing up Myrtle Beach.
Right.
So, that was part of his deal. Not only did he drive the truck, and they were very successful, for their sponsors there, but at the same time, he helped Dale Jr. and the other kids, even his sister drives for a while. So he helped them out with the late models, and they were very successful, and they wouldn't probably be where they're at. And Yuri, of course, helped them out quite a bit too, their cousins. And then you got Carl Edwards. Well, Carl Edwards out of the Midwest, great dirt track racer. He stepped away from NASCAR. Suarez came in from Mexico.
Right.
His family's got a lot of money with the cell industry down there.
Right.
He kind of saw it. He was racing for Roush. Roush, made him a deal. He bid on it. He had a great family. They went back. He's still racing back there. I think he's even got a shop where they're building cars for people. Chase Elliott, enough said. His dad is. He owns a record.
But has Chase put enough time into the sport? Granted, he's one popular driver. He's won a championship. But has he put enough time in the sport to get recognized in the top 75?
I think so.
Okay.
75. He's done a lot. He's been very good for the sport. He's just like his dad. He's very calm, meaner. He doesn't get excited very often. He's got the big picture. He was raised around it. I love the picture of him sitting on Earnhardt's lap when he was like 3 years old or whatever. He was raised around that environment. And I would say he deserved it. Denny Hamlin, he's from the Northeast, I do believe.
Virginia. He's from Virginia.
So he's been around a while. He's won a lot of races. He's been with Gibbs most of his career.
Still looking for that first championship.
Yep, he's still digging. That's you got to give him kudos to that. He hasn't given up. Ryan Newman, one of my favorite drivers, Rocket Man.
I love it.
We all know the guy almost died and ended up, 2 days later, he's walking out of the damn,
with kids with kids holding hands.
Daughters, you know, I mean, the guy's a great family man. He's a great racer. He's not entitlement at all. You got to expect that. Sterling Marlin, you know, a lot of people know that Sterling Marlin was the guy who got together with Earnhardt. Earnhardt unfortunately lost his life. But, you know, he paid his dues. You know, Sterling Marlin, his father raced also. They were with Morgan McClure. If you haven't watched their YouTube channel, that there's a lot of cool videos. They show, you know, the stuff that they were doing that was, you know, in the gray areas of NASCAR with the restrictor plates.
Right.
You know, it's great technology. I mean, a lot of that's still valid today because the guy's running carburetors.
You know what Sterling's dad's name is? Cuckoo Marlin. Cuckoo Marlin.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing him too around the pits and stuff.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, and you know, they were the Earnhardt family was very animate about getting out there and saying, hey, you know, it wasn't on purpose because, you know, this guy was seeing death threats.
Yeah.
You know,
well, Rusty Wallace did too. Rusty, just that whole
I mean,
Kenny Schrader when the 36 car was sort of tied up into that whole thing, you know, but go ahead.
Yeah, and, you know, they came out and said, hey, don't blame him. It was a racing deal. Yeah. You know, they got together. Earnhardt came down. If you watch the video, you know, he was blocking. You know, that's what you do on restrictor plate. You know, the guy behind you is, you know, following your bubble in the air at those speeds. You know, the air is very, very heavy. It's like pushing a car through yogurt, you know, at 200 mile an hour.
Right.
So, you know, if you're the car behind there, you don't have all that resistance on your car. Well, of course you're going to be faster. So he was coming. He had the car to beat. Everybody knew it all weekend. He was laying back waiting. Earnhardt came down, they got together, and it was just very unfortunate.
Of course, we all know that Earnhardt was throwing the block because his two cars were out front with Michael and Dale Jr. out front. So I think Earnhardt knew he didn't have the car to win, but one way or another, an Earnhardt or a Waltrip or a DEI car was going to be in victory circle that day.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's a team thing. Restrictor racing is definitely a team sport. So you got Greg Biffle from the Northwest. Okay, right. I remember watching him the first time out at Winter Heat in Tucson. Okay, his dad, another one. He's second generation. His dad still owns a shop there. They own a shop. Kyle Larson. Holy crap. I mean, this guy's on fire, guys. If you have not seen this guy drive on a short track yet, you think he's good in NASCAR, watch him on a short track.
Hit the YouTube. There's some great stuff of him. And then he just stepped first time around in a modified.
Oh, yeah.
He was running sprints and everything else, but he jumped into a modified and fared pretty well.
Oh, no, he won.
Yeah.
He won. He hopped in an IMCA modified, you know, with a crate motor the very first time out in a stacked field. And he won the race. Then he comes back the next race, finishes second. So, I mean, come on, people. I mean, this guy is for sure the real deal. He belongs here. Randy LaJoie, you know, his big thing was in the, you know, the second series.
Right.
You know, at that time it was the Busch series. Now it's Infinity, of course. Right. His big thing is he didn't want to move up. I remember him. They were trying to get him to move up to the Cup series. And he said, no, I would have to buy a plane because I don't want to give up my quality time with my family.
Right.
Kudos to him. Got to give him mass respect.
Yep.
He definitely deserves where he's at. Mike Stefanik, the modified driver.
You and I were talking.
Holy cow, this guy deserved it way before this time. You know, he did the groundwork for a lot of great drivers out of the Northeast.
It still holds the track record at Martinsville. It's the fastest qualifying speed. Not a Cup car, not an Xfinity, a modified. Northeast modified. Torrance Stefanik still holds the track record at Martinsville Speedway.
Yeah, Casey Kane. Okay, if you guys don't know Casey Kane, he was the first driver for Dodge. I think he ran for what was our anyways, it doesn't matter.
It was Everham.
Yep. He ran for Everham.
Before you go there, let me do this. Before you go to that, because you're right in, but you knew who actually the first driver in that car was?
No.
We're sitting in his business right now.
Oh, Gene Woods.
It was Gene Woods that actually the team with Ray Everham that brought Dodge.
I remember he was the first guy with Monster and Circle K. I remember watching Gene.
Yeah, and so then after that, then Gene decided to go. I won't get into the story. If you get a chance to talk to Gene, the reason why he left NASCAR and went to stadium trucks, all because NASCAR didn't care for a particular sponsor. And we'll leave it at that. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. You know what? You know who it was.
Gene and I are friends. You know, we talk. And,
you know who that was.
And the last guy on the list, you know, my personal friend, Tony Stewart, kudos to him. He's been through a lot. You know, he clipped some guy that was running around the track in the middle of the dark. You know, it was unfortunate. I don't think it was on purpose. If you know Tony, he's a no BS guy.
Nope.
He's going to tell you exactly how it is, exactly what's on his mind, similar to how I am. I'm not going to, there's no filter, okay? And I respect that man. I respect what he's done for the sport, and I respect for what he's done for the racing community as a whole.
Yeah.
Whether it's short track, he owns Eldora.
Yeah.
Okay, he's still running Eldora. It's a premier short track, dirt track in the country.
Probably next best thing done to the Knoxville Speedway, where the World of Outlaws headquarters
Right.
are. And I mean, that those two tracks are probably the two premier race and dirt track
And
facilities.
when I tell you he owns it, he's out there on the damn tractor grading the track.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not sitting back, signing checks or, telling people what to do.
Yeah.
He's a hands-on guy. And now, of course, he's getting involved with the NHRA. It's a great boost for them. Yeah, kudos to them. That sport needs something
Just
new.
signed a big TV deal with this SRX, man. Alan
That's right.
Bestwick is coming back. A lot of the old NASCAR guys are coming back to call the races.
You know who's going in an SRX car? Kenny Wallace.
Yeah, I saw that.
Herman. Remember? He's how he talks. He's got his own podcast. He's
Yeah.
got that laugh and everything. Very entertaining. He's the youngest Wallace brother.
Yeah.
He went through his stuff. He went back to dirt track racing out of St. Louis.
Yeah.
That's where he's at. He's buddies with Kenny Schrader.
Yeah, they're running. In fact, they ran this weekend in
Exciting to
Batesville.
watch. I can't watch it. If you haven't watched the SRX race, it's kind of like an IROC, the old IROC series.
Yeah.
All the cars are equally prepared. I think they're Fury chassis.
Yeah.
Who's, Fury, who owns Fury. Tony Uri owns that deal,
Right.
or at least he did. And then, they built special one-off cars. You got other drivers in there. You even at one point.
Ron Capps has signed on to do it.
Mhm.
Haley Deegan's in there. I mean, then you got
Haley. Oh, my gosh. How can we not talk about Haley? She came out to Vegas. She ran up in the top 10 all day long. She's upcoming. If you haven't watched Haley Deegan, you know who her dad is.
Yeah.
He was with the exports and all that stuff.
still got his truck racing team that runs the Mint 400s. In fact,
Right.
Kaylee has drove in the Mint 400 a couple of times. We talked to her out here. I want to talk a little bit, and then we'll get on to you. I watched Haley Deegan run the ARCA West Series on the dirt at the dirt track here.
Right.
Blew every gear she had but fourth. Ended up, I had to put a tie strap, a bungee strap to keep the darn car in gear. And if there would have been 3 more laps, she'd have taken Sheldon Creed that day. I have always said this about Haley. I think if Haley would have did more of what they did with Riley Herbst, that they skipped the truck series, extra year in the ARCA series. I just think the car fits Haley's driving style more than the truck does.
Mhm.
And Gene even said this. He goes, buddy, those truck guys out there, it don't make no difference with 2 laps to go or 50 to go. If a bumper's coming, a bumper's coming. And I think
Right.
she's more of a finesse driver than she is an aggressive driver. I'd like to see her do well. I really would.
She's coming, and she's touching a whole different market. Let's face it, her demographic being a young, good-looking female
Yeah.
girl, the sponsors are just chomping at the bit, to get her into a higher series. So, as soon as, and that's coming. It's coming. It's already on the plan.
Been a
She's
lot
just
of-
waiting for the right team.
I think if she could have a decent season, I know that one time Tony Stewart that Stewart Haas Racing could be looking at taking that. Of course, Eric. A lot of people had a thought that she might take Eric Almirola's ride. Then Eric decided, well, I'm not going to retire. I think I'll come back and run one more year. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, and we come back. We're going to talk to Billy, and we're going to dig Billy in there, how he got started into racing, how he got going, what things are going on. We're going to extend this program tonight because that's what we do right here at On Pit Road Racing, live at the WCOBN. Alan Michaels, Billy Mitchell with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes, everybody. Stick around right with us.
Welcome to my world. Handicapped man down at a charity feed. Great spread this morning. God, it was horrible. But it made what I needed to happen. Then I had these people that stopped and said, hey, you want some shoes? I said, yeah, I was going to need to get some anyway. So might as well. And if it really comes to fruition, help them buy more shoes so that we can help more people. I'm not we, but you know what I mean. hell, might as well. There's nothing wrong with helping someone. You know, it makes for good karma or good energy, whatever it takes. Hell, I ought to do a product placement for Coca-Cola too.
Are you ready for the wildest ride on Fremont Street? The Gene Woods Racing Indoor Go-Kart Track Experience. 450 Fremont Street, suite number 171 on the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Fremont Street. Open 7 days a week, noon until midnight. Strap yourself in, pull your safety belts tight, and feel the power and the speed at the Gene Woods Racing Indoor Go-Kart Track Experience, downtown Las Vegas, Fremont Street, 450 Fremont Street, suite number 171, right on the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Fremont Street. What are you waiting for? Log on, get your tickets now. It's time to go racing at the Gene Woods Racing Indoor Go-Kart Track Experience, 450 Fremont Street, downtown Las Vegas.
We're still right over 1,000 people logged on here. For every little notch, we get 1,000. So we were up to about 2 there for just a little bit. Of course, we hit the rebroadcast, and that's where it really does well, is on the rebroadcast too. Because sort of like Netflix and Hulu, we can go home, and if we don't want to listen or watch them now, we can watch them anytime again. Alan Michaels here, my special guest driver, NASCAR modified driver and engineer, Mr. Billy Mitchell, is with us. And I've known Billy, I think I've been here almost 15 years, and I think I met you the 3rd year I was here, and we've been there ever since, my friend.
Sir.
Where did Billy Mitchell come from?
Okay, so, I grew up in Southern California watching Ascot as a kid, watching the figure 8 races at Ascot Speedway in Gardena. You know, I grew up there. My family used to go there, and we'd cheer on the local racers. So I think I got the bug. I grew up, watching them, and we had some family members that raced and such. And then I didn't actually start racing until 1992. I was stationed out in San Diego. I was serving with a couple submarines, nuclear submarines in the Navy, and helping out SEAL teams. So I did that, and then I got involved with a team called the Brown Brothers out there. Helped them out for about 3 years, bought my first modified car, ran the year out there. It was a learning curve for sure. Didn't have any money. Brown Brothers helped me out a ton. Okay. And then I came up here when I got out of the military, honored discharge, of course. Came up, brought my family out here, had my daughter Tiara with me. And then I raced out at it used to be called Speedway Park.
Okay.
And they had the start-finish line on the other side because they had the drag strip that ran right where the stands are right there. And they called it Speedrome. Okay. So the first year out there, I won the Rookie of the Year, won the championship in a home-built car, started with a whole new car. Did that for a few years, won, some races, did local racing. Then I decided to go ASA racing in the Midwest. I ran out of Iowa for 3 years, ran some ASA stuff. It was a great class. They did the LS1 spec motors with K-Tech, and you had to buy them, through ASA along with the harnesses and all that stuff. That was a lot of fun. Did that. Then I came back to Vegas and started running late models. Run the late model races, won a whole bunch of races. Had a whole bunch of people coming to me asking me to help them out. So I started a business called Team Motorsports. Did that. At one time, we had like 13 cars out there, late models, super late models, modifieds, the whole bit. We started using the CAD software, simulation software, to start going through the geometry. I have a master's degree in engineering. It's electrical, but it's all engineering. Then I started racing out here, did the late model thing, took a little break, started teaching, did some teaching, taught robotics, taught engineering and CAD classes at Coronado, coached football for several years, went back to California, taught Cal State Fullerton, coached Mater Dei High School. If you guys don't know who they are, the best high school program in the country for sure. Congratulations to Coach Rawlinson for retiring last year. Got to give kudos to him. The Monarchs decided to come back to Vegas. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. If I wanted to stay in racing or not. I'm getting older. There's other things I want to do, a lot more fun. We live in Vegas. So I decided to go modified racing. I like the SRL series. I like the local racing. We tried the crate motor thing. It just wasn't my deal. I like being able to hit the pedal and
Power.
the car go.
Yeah.
So we decided to do the open motor program. We had some issues with motors, sponsors, the whole bit. Finally, I decided to build my own motor. Pep jumped on board. They're a local supply house. If you guys, if you're a machine shop, you're a shop. If you're not buying stuff from Pep, you should be, because trust me, whoever you're buying from is getting the stuff from Pep.
Right.
They're a wholesaler dealer. You can set up with them. Ron's a great guy. He's very ethical. He's very conservative, political guy. No nonsense, the BS. Started racing the modified thing. I bought a car from a guy. The car hadn't run in like 10 years. So I tore the car apart, went through the whole car, updated it with Steve Teets at SRL.
Right.
We started racing that a couple years ago. We finally got the motor in it a couple races ago, breaking it in, taking our time. We came out last week, was the first time we actually got to run a whole deal with it. Ran some heat races, ran main events. Motor ran great, didn't have any issues. And then, of course, now you're dealing with chassis stuff. So, we tried some different bump spring packages. I'm going to be talking about on my podcast this weekend. We're going to go over tire temps. I'm going to teach you guys, if you don't know how to troubleshoot your chassis based off of tire temps, well, watch my podcast on YouTube, YouTube channel. It's not a podcast. And we're going to be putting that together. And then we're going to take a step further. We'll do a second one later on in the week about taking all that information that we learned from the actual tire temperatures and the averages and the travel indicators and the pressures and, of course, the driver input. Right. And then we're going to take that and make changes on the car. We've already ordered the springs. Springs are here already. And then I'll show you how to set up, the bump stops on your shocks using a smasher machine, what we call smasher. Right. If you don't know why it's a smasher, look at my finger, okay? Yeah. Eventually, it's going to get your finger, okay? So you got to be very, very careful with the smasher machine. There's a lot of kinetic load on those springs, especially when you're getting tired. It's in the middle of the night. Right. So I will show you guys how to do that. The whole idea here is, Mike, everybody's like, well, why are you telling them everything, how to do it themselves, chassis shops? Well, we got to build the sport. And I believe that the only way you're going to build the sport is if people would know how to do things themselves. They don't have the money to go to a local chassis builder or a guy to run their shop, like a Bray or Gaffarini. I think you had Scotty the Wizard on here. Very knowledgeable guy. He's been around, as long as I have. But just people don't have the money. Right. So it's DIY, right? You can watch. I have noticed on YouTube there's some channels, but they're not really giving you all the information. Right. Not me. I'm going to tell you exactly what I know, how to use that information to get your car at least close. Right. And then you got to be able to use your driver input and your tire temps and everything, the whole package, to get your car what it wants. Because you can have two cars that are built by the same guy, everything done. You can put the package on it. It's going to get you close. But to get that car, the extra 2/10 and be competitive and beat your competitors, really, it takes knowing how to dial the car into that given day, that given tire. Everything comes into play. And I'm going to go over that on my channel. So it's going to be the Race Professor 21. So I invite everybody to come down. I'm not making money on it. My whole objective here is to build the sport, get more people involved in the sport. The only way we're going to do that is people can do the stuff themselves and feel like they can be competitive.
You said that, and you were right. I did have Scott Gaffarini on here, and you two are hitting on both the same points that he was directing our listening and viewing audience here. This is the good thing, and Skype and Billy's now matching it up and teaming it up. A lot of these kids out here, they either don't do it because they've got a wallet or a credit card to take care of it. The ones that don't have it, they're still lost. They're still. So let's get these kids. There's a lot of these. I'm not going to call names up. There's a lot of guys in the Cup Garage that I know that have never touched a wrench in their entire life. And the reason why they've got there is because of the credit card and the checkbook. That doesn't, when you're racing, grassroots racing, like Billy just said, you might be able to afford a team or a shop manager or somebody, but if you can't, then you got to DIY it yourself. So log on to programs like this. And if you find others, check them out. Watch Billy's program. If you see another program, maybe what Billy's advice was a little different from what the other guys. Hey, there's no problem trying one thing, trying another, right? I mean, whatever works.
I'll be the first one to tell you, you can get to City Hall many ways. And to back up your point about the I call them entitled racing, right? They show up, they race. What ends up happening is there's a reason why you got your Kyle Bushes. His dad made him work on the car, Kurt and Kyle. I know his dad very, very well. So, you know, he was a Mack dealer here in Vegas for years.
Was he one of the first ones that started it here? I believe.
That's right. So, you know, they grew up working on the car, and there's a lot to be said to that, because when you're driving the car and you start feeling things, you can picture in your mind what's going on physics-wise or mechanically, and you know what to do. So when you go back to the track and you're, you know, and I'm going to talk a little bit about separating the corners into 3 segments, because going in the corner, you're going to work one part of the car. In the middle of the corner, you're going to work another part of the car. And then coming off the corner, you're going to work the third part of the car. So if you don't understand the physics involved or what's going on with the car from a mechanical or engineering point of view, I don't care how much money you got, how much seat time you have, you're not going to progress into the upper levels and be competitive week after week after
That's right.
week.
You're absolutely right. When you learn to ride a bike, you learn to ride it with the training wheels on, most of us, and after you get a little bit of comfort, then you take the training wheels off, and of course you're going to fall down a couple of times, but you pick yourself up. And you mentioned that about, I remember a story I heard about Kyle Busch in his early days when Tom was running the Mack Tool thing there, the delivery service. And I remember hearing him tell a story about how Kyle blew up a brand new clutch. Stupid wise, he said that his son blew up. And I heard that Tom just rode him from one side of the bull ring right back down the other and said if he ever did it again, he'd sell the car and they would not race anymore, because, you know, Tom Busch back that time did not have have multi-million-dollar bank accounts. It didn't have an unlimited credit card. He was working selling tools off of the back of a truck so those boys could go racing, and those boys had to learn to work and making it. And I know that story's true. You want to give a thing about Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch did not come entitled. Kyle and Kurt both had to work their race. Just like Spencer Clark's son had to work, TJ's son, Spencer had to work, Chris Trickle had to work. A lot of these guys coming up. Yeah, I mean, Noah spent time. I'm so happy with our local guys. Riley getting in there, Noah's getting in there. Now, does those families have a little bit of money, a little bit of more resources to come? But I'm telling you one thing, and I think you'll agree. Noah's earning his bones where he's at. He's earning. He had a good, successful career at the Bull Ring. He had a good career with Kyle Busch, a good career with Junior. But now he's in the big league now. Now he's going to make his bones out there. That's for sure.
And you see that a lot of that with racing. Even as far back as Richard Petty, you know, he was very well funded by corporation. He was one of the first teams. So, you know, you can only get so far on money.
Right.
At some point, you have to know what you're doing. And you can call that talent. You can call that experience. You can call that whatever it is. But you have to have both to consistently compete at that higher level. Okay. And I don't like what NASCAR's become with how much money you got to bring as a driver.
Yeah.
I think the days of showing up and you know, getting a ride based off of talent, maybe Carl Hart might be the exception.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of these guys have to come in with the pocketbook or come with money, and you call it rent-a-rides or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the reality is most of these teams, and I think that started really with Roush. You know, Roush started bringing guys in and they had to have money. And then he did the Gong Show with Kurt. That's how Kurt got his ride into the Truck Series. Before that, he got the ride in the Southwest Tour. Unfortunately, the original Chris Trickle passed away. Right. You know, right before the season, and he jumped, you know, he got that seat. I'm going to say he didn't earn it. He earned it.
Yeah.
You know, he won a lot of races, you know, in the legend car.
He was actually teaching. When he got that ride, he wasn't even in Las Vegas. He was teaching down in Arizona, wasn't he? He was teaching at a school or something in Arizona.
I don't know. I'd never heard that, but it's possible.
I read that because when we had Chuck on, we were talking about.
I think he was actually going to school. You know,
he was going to school.
You know, was his science teacher at Durango. His mom was an administrator for the school, and you know, I think he was going to school to be a pharmacist or something. You know, and that was his dream. Yeah. You know, and then he got involved in it. So kudos to Kurt. Kudos to Kyle. Tom, you did a great job raising these guys. Yeah. You know, your mom, you know, their mom was a great woman. You know, I know both the father and the mom even before I raced against Tom. Right. You know, he was at the end of his career when I started back in the 90s. So great people, great family. You know, that's one thing I can say about the Bull Ring. You know, most of the people, whether it's a Jax, you know, I knew their grandfather very well. He's tried to race a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately, something broke on the car. But, you know,
the Kaiser family out there.
Kaisers, you know, you got family traditions out here, generations. Yeah. So kudos to them. You know, again, I can't promote our local track enough. If you have not been to the Bull Ring and you live here in Vegas, or even if you're visiting, make plans to come out because it is a blast.
You can't beat it, man. It was $10 a ticket to get in,
Oh,
man. Like $2 hot dogs, $3 beers, $2 Coca-Cola drinks. And what is great, folks, this thing is set up so well that you can bring your kids. They have a special area, the Chris Trickle and the Spencer Clark area. It's a nice grassy knoll, kept very soft. Bermuda grass is nice as heck. But it's all fenced in. Your kids can go grab a hot dog. They can throw a Frisbee. They can wave their checkered flags and pretend like they're racing out there. And I have at 12 years, Billy, I know you've been going there long enough. I've been going there 12 years. I've never seen one child. Nobody messes with anybody. Everybody's watching everybody. And the kids have a good time. Can't beat it. Bull Ring here in Las Vegas. Makes no difference. And here's another thing. If you're not here in Las Vegas with us, go to NASCAR.com/local tracks and pick something out. And we'll show you all the states, all of our 50 states here. And all you got to do is click the state, and it will pull up a category of all the NASCAR tracks that you can go see out there.
If you've never been to a local track, you need to go, okay? Because it's a completely different animal than watching the big tracks, the mile and a halves. There's a reason why NASCAR is going back to North Wilkesboro and doing the All-Star race. They're trying to build their fan base. They know it's going to be exciting.
And you know what's next?
100%.
Rockingham is coming, baby. Rockingham is coming. That's it. I mean, I get the mile and a half. I don't understand this street thing. It didn't work in Joliet. They didn't like it there. Now they're going to try. They're trying NASCAR, and I wish they'd stop.
Well,
quit trying to play something that you're not. You're trying to play Formula One with this. That's exactly what they're doing.
You know, marketing 101, you got to look at your demographic. Who's going to buy your product, no matter what business you are. And NASCAR needs to go back, and they need to look at, who is our fan base? Who's going to be our future fan base? Unfortunately, they've got some bad information. They're trying to go international, of course, and, they're trying to make it more entertaining, thinking that, it's a road course. Road course, you turn left and right. Okay, got it. The problem is with a road course, if you've ever been to a road course, you typically only see part of the track.
Right.
Okay, you can't see the whole track. So even these big super speedways, you can't see all the track.
Not unless you get the top seat.
Local track racing on a 3/8 mile Bull Ring or even a half-mile track Kern or Ordale, okay? You're going to see the whole track. You're going to see everything. And these guys are not afraid to put the door to somebody and mix it up. And that's very entertaining. You're going to see fights. You're going to see guys yelling, flipping each other off. But at the end of the day, we all, eventually get over it.
We get over it. We sit back. We have a cold beer, eat a ham sandwich or whatever. And that's the way. We'll see you next week. Hey, listen, I came from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where the Madhouse is at. Bowling Gray Racing Stadium, buddy. We were there every Saturday night. And sometimes there was more action in the pits than there was on the track. And you didn't come with a stick. I'm telling you right there.
Sold out every week.
Every week.
Every week. They cannot even, they're selling standing room only and it's sold out. Because it's so entertaining.
And forget about if it's ladies' night where the ladies get in for a buck and they're drinking dollar beers all night long. You better be racing. The gates open up at 6. You better be standing at the line at 3:30 on a ladies' night at Bowling Grey because you ain't getting. You just don't get in. That's it.
The bottom line is get to your local racetrack. If you're here in Vegas, you want to come up and do some racing, bring your car up, get a hold of TJ Clark. You can do it via the internet. Bring your modified, bring your late model. They're running the 602 crate motors and the late models. If you didn't know that, otherwise it's just like every other late model in the country, 65-inch, 101 minimum wheelbase. There's a weight. Come on out. Let's have some fun. Let's put on a show for the local fans. If you're a local fan, come on out. You're going to have a blast.
Wait a second. We got a comment coming in here, man. Maybe a question for you. And somebody's just saying, hi, guys. That's it. So we don't know, but hello to whoever you're all out there. Thank you. And Billy Mitchell, our special guest, the professor. And, of course, we talked about this earlier. We're going to get with you. We'll get this week over with. But Billy's going to be a contributor to this program. I'm so happy to have you on because, Billy, I can change a tire and I can change oil. But that's about as much as I can do, man. If not, then I rely on somebody like you.
We're going to go into the chassis. We're going to go into the software that I use to design the geometry in the cars. We're going to get into even welding. We're going to get into sheet metal stuff. I mean, you name it. By the end of the next year or so, if you are wanting to build a car, you should be able to go down and buy some tubing, buy the right tools, or borrow the tools a lot of times, and you can build your own car and go out and look at your local race, and you will be competitive.
And we're going to do the things that talk about carburation and fuel and oils and how to properly check things right.
That's right.
And another good thing, you want to get started in racing, man? Hey, get a good old bomber car, man. You can't beat this.
100%. Depending on your budget, I suggest everybody go with the bomber car, or even a Legend car. I mean, Legends, or you can pick up a used Legend car. Just get out there and have fun and learn. Bring the family out. The family's gonna love it. Come on out and have a good time. It's really all about having fun at this level.
That's it. And and getting back to the NASCAR thing, and I think they need to think about this a little bit. You remember back in the days when Dale Earnhardt had Goodwrench, by then you went to the Goodwrench store to get it done.
Right.
If Junior was drinking Budweiser, what I'm getting to is, folks, listen. In the day when a NASCAR driver over NFL, over NHL, over NBA, over Major League Baseball, the biggest endorsement things that there were race car drivers.
That's right.
If you were that, and I said, I'm drinking Mountain Dew, by darn on Sunday, you had a 12-pack of Mountain Dew sitting there.
We need to get back to that. It used to be that if they signed a driver, a corporation sponsored a driver, their stock would go up 2 points.
And remember the old sign, too? Winner on Sunday sells cars on Monday, man. And I mean, Earnhardt sold a lot of Chevrolets. You got to be that.
Right.
That he sold it. Yeah, that's it.
That's what built the whole series and built stock car racing right there. You just got it.
Let's get back. Let's get big series is getting back to maybe what grassroots racing was.
Right.
Bring it back to the way it was. Your fans are going to come up, and you can tell this. Look at the NHRA. Look at the stands on semifinal and finals. But you got to squirt them down with olive oil to get them in there. There's so many people. And if NASCAR wants to do that, I think that's what they need to do. Bring NASCAR back to grassroots style of racing, man.
100%. Nobody wants to watch a whole bunch of entitled little rich kids run around and bitch and complain because their car don't work. Okay, I mean, that's the bottom line. People want to see the excitement. They want to see the drama. You're going to offend people. You're going to disagree. It's a competitive sport. Okay, you're going to have conflicts. You're going to have people that can't stand each other. That's part of racing. That's part of the drama. That's part of the excitement. Look at the first time the Daytona was on there. You had 3 guys beating the crap out of each other at the end of the race.
And Richard Petty
had the highest ratings ever of any sport.
Was it Pearson in Yarborough? Wasn't it? That got into it, right? And Richard Petty just rings himself right on. Being at the right place at the right time. If the 2 knuckleheads want to beat and punch each other out, I'm going to win the race. That's just the way it was.
I think it was Humpy Wheeler said, hey, I don't care if you guys beat the crap out of each other, but let me sell a ticket to it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. It's great for the sport. It's great for the fan. In NASCAR, in every rule book that they have, the very first page, it says any conduct that's not conclusive or beneficial to NASCAR. So basically, they can say anything. Right. Okay, they can say anything. Well, let them race, let them compete, let them have conflict, let them do things. Open up the rule book. Let people come up with new ideas. Let them come up with things that you don't have to order or get money off of, okay? Let them do it. You have the more cars you have, the more seats you're going to have in the fans, the more hot dogs you're going to sell, the more everything. It's great for the sport. The more people, if you got TV coverage, the more people that are going to be watching. That's the bottom line.
And work out a good TV deal, because the TV deal's coming to an end. So work out a good deal. I wish they'd just work something out with ESPN. Go back to ESPN. Put all the races on ESPN and quit flipping it from Fox this to Fox Sports 1 to NBC Sports this and back to this. My goodness gracious, I understand. And you and I all know this. What this was is they tried to lock this in for us to buy the sports package channels. That's it. It's exactly what they did with this thing.
Yeah. And what's happening? Everybody's doing podcasts now. Yeah. So you got the low budget TV that does the SRL series. Yeah. They're very successful. They got a great following. SRL, if you guys don't follow SRL, it used to be the Southwest Tour for NASCAR. Yep. It was the highest level racing on the West Coast. You had the West Series for the Cup cars. Right. But, I mean, if you raced a Cup car against a Tour car, the Tour car would kick the crap out of it. So you had your Kurt Busches, you had everybody, Biffle, everybody that ran Tour cars. Right. And that was a natural progression up to the top, touring series. So then NASCAR dropped them and went just, the West Series. They had the East and the West. Now it's ARCA, right? Right. So now, SRL stepped up. The guys who own Spears Manufacturing. That's what it stands for, Spears Racing League. Right. So now, if you haven't watched it, go to Low Budget TV. You can go on there and stream it. It's a great show. It's the best racers in the West Coast. They even now have, Richie Brooks started a deal on the East Coast with it now. So now I have a feeling within the next year or so, they're going to have basically their version of a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So you already have guys, the top Thorne, you have Doss, all these guys are on the West Coast that are already gone to the East Coast. Kudos to Thorne. Hey, congratulations, buddy. You finally won the winner cup. Yeah, I mean, it was like in Florida, Five Flag Speedway. He's been so close for so many years. Congratulations to you and your team. You deserve it. I think everybody agrees with it. West Coast driver came in there and finally won against the best in the country, including cup teams.
Yeah.
So great job. Great job.
I want to give a shout out to Jesse Love, who won in the ARCA Series at Talladega.
There you go.
He's run several times out at the bull ring.
That's right.
Super late model. I believe he got some time in a legend car that moved up.
Yep.
So another great, West Coaster. And I've learned this. The West Coast guys have become more finesse racers to where the East Coast guys are like, okay, it's time for the fender now, but that's what makes racing fun, to see different style of racing.
That's right.
You might be that finesse racer to where I'm the beating, banging guy, man. It's 5 to go, and it's the Rusty Wallace rule: either lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. I mean,
Yeah, my view is, looking at it, I race people how people race me.
Right.
So if you're going to put the bumper to me and I'm giving you room to race, or you're going to lose your crap and put me in the wall for no reason,
right?
It's coming, brother. It might not be a week. It might not be a month. It might not be a year. Payback's coming.
It's coming.
That's all I got to say. And I'm not going to sit there and threaten people. Those of you know who you are.
Yep.
But I'm going to tell you straight up. You start beating and banging on the back of my car to where it's costing me money, or you're costing me, to be competitive.
Yeah.
Well, what comes around goes around. I don't want to hear you crying. I don't want to hear you coming over to my pitch, bitching and complaining.
Right.
Because you get what's coming to you, and you better go back and watch the video before you start coming over and bitching and whining and complaining.
Right. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I agree. I agree with you 100% on it. I mean, it's racing. Let's get back to racing. Let them race. Let them race. I'll never forget the late great Darrell Earnhardt. If you remember that race, I think it was back in 73 or 74. They're at Talladega. It was the first time that Talladega put $1 million on the line.
Right.
And Rusty Wallace was leading that way. Dale Earnhardt came back, and it was a racing move. And it sent Rusty barrel rolling about 10 times, flipping about 6 or 7, cut him out of the car, and all it was a broken wrist. And I'll never forget Dale Earnhardt being on ESPN television. And I'm trying to think who the reporter was at the time now. But anyway, I said, you know what? He said, you put these restrictor plates on, you've done all that you did, then you dangled $1 million of prize money in front of us. And that at that time, everybody realized that Rusty and Dale were actually good friends.
Oh, they were. They owned Goodyear together.
Yeah. And the
Back in the day.
dealerships. And it was always at the track. It was the Dale and Rusty show, the Dale and Rusty. And then Walter was in there a little bit. Then you had Davey Allison, and we'll go on. But I'll remember Earnhardt saying, you darn near killed my best friend today. Because if you're going to let them run, man.
Open it up. Because anybody can drive a restrictor plate. It's kind of like the crate thing, okay? I'm not going to beat up on crate racing because it's, making things more affordable, supposedly, but now, they're getting expensive. Yeah, I'll be blunt with you. You can build the version of a crate motor like a Vegas old spec motor for half of what a crate motor is. Bottom line. So, I mean, is it great? The big thing is a lot of these series, they really don't want to tech them. They don't want to tear them down. So they're just looking for seals. Yeah. The problem with that is they're allowing other engine builders to rebuild them and seal them. Okay, so they just compromise the whole damn program.
So as an engineer in that, so in other words, you can tap the seal, and if you know what you're doing, you can
You can buy the damn seals on eBay for $500. If you guys didn't know that, there you go. Okay. There you go. And there ain't no way that, the guys out here, you're going to at the boring, you're going to be competitive probably with a bone stock crate motor. Everybody knows it. It's not going to last. They had them blow up, and then they upgraded them, and then they charged $2,000 more money for them.
I knew what
for a $500 crankshaft. It's like, okay, this doesn't make sense.
I knew a guy that bought it off of a local. I paid $3,500 for that crate motor, man. It didn't even made one race and a qualifying, and kaboom, 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 man. So it went up.
Is there a perfect answer for this? Again, there's always a balance. Your local promoters are trying to help out the local engine builders, the ones that are left. Okay, so I mean, they're trying to do that, and I get it. My view is I want a motor that's going to be reliable. I want a motor that's going to, every time I hit the button, it's going to go.
Right.
And that's the only way you can keep working on your car and getting more time building your notebook, trying new things. That's what I enjoy. I can follow the leader and do everything everybody else is doing, and I might run in the top 5. It's the guy who's going to try new stuff and he understands what's going on, that catches something that his car likes and that he likes, and then all of a sudden you're dominating, and what happens? He's got to be cheating. Why? Because I'm cheating and he's kicking my butt.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is what it is. That's racing. When you're running up front and you're doing it consistently, the first thing you do is that people are going to choose you cheating. We all know it.
Cheat.
So let them do it, whatever. Go out and have fun. It's competitive sport. Try new things. We got to get it under control. The tire thing's ridiculous right now. The cost of tires is really detrimental to the sport. We need another tire manufacturer to get involved if that's what's going to take, so they're competitive. McCreary used to do it. Goodyear used to have a short track tire. Now all they got is these, Hoosier, the 970s. They used to be inexpensive, but as soon as everybody mandated you run on them, they're not cheap no more.
Well, Arthur runs on the General tire, and I've heard some good things about that General tire. Now, whether it lasts, I've not been into car. Is it good through the first 15 laps and starts falling off after that? But you're right. Should there maybe Firestone could come up with something a little bit,
Good BF Goodrich. Okay, so when I ran ASA, they had the tire deal.
Right.
It wasn't cheap, but it was a good tire.
Good
it had Kevlar sidewalls. The tires were safe. I mean, they were a good tire. My tire bill was super expensive, but that's the tour. You're going to pay money. But I look back at what I paid for tires back then and what I was getting out of those tires versus today. I mean, I don't want to say anything negative about the 970 tire, but we'll just say it's a bias ply tire.
Right.
And, you got to throw them away before they wear out. That's all I'm going to say right there.
They make good coffee tables, you know that?
I got plenty of them. You want a coffee table?
You know what I'm actually looking for an outdoor picnic table? I want a Goodyear top fuel tire, man. And get a nice. Yeah, I saw them online.
They'll give them to you. No, I mean, you go to the drag races. They'll when the trailers are leaving, they're rolling them right out the back of the trailer.
I think when I go back there in October, when they come back for Halloween weekend, I think I'm going to. I'm pretty good friends with Antron Brown. I think Antron could slide me one, I mean, really.
Well, very cool.
We're wrapping up the program here. It's on Pit Road Racing. We're just running today. No time. The Professor Billy Mitchell's here. Billy's going to be joining us starting here in a couple of weeks. It's going to be Shop Talk with the Professor right here. So he's going to have different categories. You're going to be able to catch him on his YouTube channel. So listen, folks. If you're a young grassroots racer, take a listen. This man's got an engineering degree. He's worked all over the country. And just so you know, he did do a little time out at Area 51, too.
I can't talk about that.
We won't talk about what you did there, but anyway, we can edit that
I can't
out.
talk about what I do now.
Okay, so we won't even talk about that now. So, but anyhow.
But it pays the bills. That's all
we're going to say. And, but he's a great guy. He's an engineer. In fact, we're sitting inside. I'm looking across at our go-kart track here at the Gene Woods. You came in and put all this electrical stuff in here because God bless Gene. He was sort of lost, and he said, I need the man. And Billy Mitchell.
Well, they had a requirement where they had to be able to shut down the carts remotely, obviously.
Yeah.
If you get somebody drunk on a cart and they're doing stupid stuff, they got to be able to shut it down.
Right.
So came in and designed, a system that worked along with the harnesses and did a couple prototypes for Gene, and it's still working. So that's great.
It's working. It does everything that it's supposed to. It shuts down when it's supposed to do. It does what it's supposed to do. And as long as, and that's one good thing. If Gene, is it working right? And I say, yeah. And you know what he says to me? Bye. I'm out of here. Bye. If it's working right, I'm out of here. We're on it. On Pit Road Racing, right here at the WCOBM, live from downtown Fremont Street, each and every Wednesday starting at 5 p.m. Our guest today, the Professor, Mr. Billy Mitchell, who is a NASCAR Whelen modified driver and also engineer, going to be along with us. Before we go, where can they find you social media-wise? How can they reach out to you?
So you can go to, I have a Facebook page. It's Billy Mitchell in Las Vegas. You can friend me there. I'll friend you back. No problem. I'm also on, it's Billy Mitchell 21 _ on Instagram. I have a Twitter page. I do some stuff on Twitter, but they don't give you a lot of time. So I'll do just little updates. If you didn't know, I ran for county commissioner, so I make little comments here and there what's going on locally. We got a lot of going on right now. We got a county commissioner that's about ready to be debarred and kicked off.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Exposed him back in August. Finally, they got a federal decision against him yesterday.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, the crap's about ready to hit the fan in Clark County, people. If you live in the southwest part of town, you better start looking for a new county commissioner because this guy ain't going to be around much longer.
What they call the old 86, man. Out the door you go.
All right. So I will do that. We're going to be setting up the YouTube channel this weekend. I got a buddy at work that's really good at that stuff. That's not my forte. We're going to set it up so that you guys can ask questions. I'm going to give you an honest answer. I'm not going to BS you. I'm not going to tell you to go buy whoever the sponsor is or any of that crap that's going on. I'm going to tell you, if it were me, this is what I would do. Now, is there other ways to do it? Sure. I mean, everybody's got their own opinion. You know what they say, opinions are like a-holes, right?
That's
Everybody's got one. So the bottom line is, is my way the only way? No. Do I think it's my way's the best way? Yeah. I'm going to explain to you why. I'm not just going to try and BS you and tell you, you need to do this because I said you need to do it. No, I'm going to explain it to you from a physics point of view, from an engineering point of view, what your objective is. I was a teacher, a college professor, trying to help you guys out. I want to see you do well, because if you do well, the sport's going to do well. You're going to put on a great show. Even if you're racing against me, I don't care. I want to race against your best.
Yeah.
You're only as good as your competition. So I want to see you succeed. So come and see me. We're going to set up. It's going to be the Race Professor. And we'll talk more about that. I'll be doing the show here. If you want to chime in and you got questions, even if you want to send me a shot of your tire temps, I can tell you exactly what's going on with your car based off your tire temps. Bottom line.
There you go. That's it. Well, we're going to ride here as I flip things around and do this. Before we go, I want to hold this up because this means a lot to us. I've had people call us already. Bill, you can go ahead and grab one too.
They're light.
Yeah, they're really nice. I'll get you a pair of these things.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Anyhow, I've had people call up and they're interested in, and we thank you so much for all your participation in the show. And they're asking about, can they buy advertising time on this show? No, you cannot.
Okay, that's awesome.
You cannot buy advertising. But how you can get your product on our show is to make a donation to the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's World Wide Web, hotshoe, HOF.com. Please read the mission statement. We played the video that we did at one of the missions here. These are the shoes. We have thousands of pairs of shoes. We're reaching out to the veterans here.
That's awesome.
With Andre Haynes, who's the vice president, the president of the Chamber of Veterans Chamber of Commerce. We've reached out to Chet Buchanan, who sits on the board of directors for the Project 150.
That's awesome.
We've been to some churches and missions already. Gene has taken 200 pairs of these up to Sacramento for the Sacramento Mile. So here's what you need to do. Go to hotshoe, HOF.com. You will see a donate button there. No matter what you donate, we will get you on this air. We will get a feed with your company. We will know that it was you that did it. We will have a representative contact you back. We will get a television commercial for you that can be aired on this show. You can be a guest on this show. And these are the shoes right here. These are a good quality shoe.
They're nice.
They're a really nice shoe that Gene himself personally paid for every pair of these shoes.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Gene's just an amazing guy.
The point of the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame is that it draws people not only in the motorcycle racing business, but in the motorsports business all the way around. Gene's passion, his thing was motorcycles. He did do time with NASCAR. He did do time with the stadium trucks.
Right.
Motorcycle was. But this right here, once again, folks, if you'd like to be part of this program, just log on, World Wide Web, hotshoe, HOF.com. Read the mission statement. You'll see a donate button. And if we get the donations come in, we will put you on this show. You cannot buy straight advertising. I had a gentleman call me up about doing a live remote, Billy. And he said, how much will you charge me to come do a live remote at my facility? Right. And I said, I'm not charging you one penny. You will make a donation towards the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame for us to buy shoes, and I will come to your facility.
You know what we should do? We should do a local deal out at the Speedway, like for race weekend or something.
Sure.
And we can promote it. If you guys didn't know, obviously I'm a veteran. I carry, Welcome Home Troops deal. I've been sporting that for about 10 years now. Anything to do. And if you are a veterans group, you need assistance, hit me up. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to help you out. Whatever I can do. I'm all about the veterans. I understand what they go through when you've had that life for years. I fought 2 wars. You come home, you just can't explain it to people. Right. The only people that really understand are people who've been there. And it's great to see Americans or, companies, everybody support these people and value what they've done.
That's right.
country.
Is that because of like Billy, and thank you for your service. My father-in-law was 24 years in the United States Air Force, 4 years in the Army. He was a career man, 28 years into the service. And the military people, they need to be taken care of.
That's right.
They should not have to pay any man or woman that gives their time, their energy, their soul, their life to this country so that Billy gets to do what he likes to do. I get to do what I get to do. Anybody that's listening and watching this, no matter what you do for a job or what you do for a living, without our military defending us and taking care of us, we don't get those rights and those privileges. So thank a veteran, help a veteran out anything you can. And that's why this program is next step is to the veterans here in Las Vegas and to our teens. I could not believe the number, Billy, of teens in this county that are homeless, living on the streets that don't.
Yeah, it's a problem.
It doesn't make a difference what the situation came. We got to get this under control. And if we can help put some shoes on people's feet to keep their feet dry, keep them from getting burned up, making sure that they can get to a job or whatever they need to do, then that's what we want to do. Hot Shoe, HOF.com. Please read the mission statement. If you feel encouraged, hit that donate. You can reach out to us at onpitroadracing@gmail.com. Telephone number to our office, 702-803-0875. You can leave us a message. Let us know what you did. This is all done on the thing. I mean, they know exactly where the donation came from, who it is, and we'd love to come out and do the show for you out there. But I just wanted to throw that in because this is what this, when I talked to Gene, he asked me, what are we going to do? And I said, I don't want to charge. I don't want to be a local radio station, not knocking against that, not knocking against the television station that has advertisers on it. If you want to be part of this program, make a donation. Make a donation to the Hot Shoe, HOF, the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame.com, and we'll get you on this program. As simple as that.
And Gene, if you're watching, kudos to you, brother. I got mass respect for you from day one. You help out the local racing community. Everything from giving me batteries to helping guys out with race suits. I've never had Gene say no. I mean, every time I call him and ask him a question or whatever, or meet up for lunch or whatever it is, he's a great guy. So support this. It's a great cause. Obviously, it's a nonprofit. They're not looking to make any money off of this. All they're trying to do is generate some revenue so that they can help our community
to buy more shoes. That's it. Right. That's all it is. It isn't. We do have our total state. It's all been signed off legally. We have all the paperwork for our nonprofit. If you need a copy of that, we actually have made little cards for that we can hand you. That has all the information, the state seal on it. You've been through all this before, so you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
All straight across the board. We can put shoes on young people, middle-aged people, seniors, veterans, men, women, children. We can do it for all. All we need is your help, okay? On Pit Road Racing, my special guest, the Professor Billy Mitchell, Alan Michaels. Diane will be back with us next week. Indy Mike will be back next week. And if everything looks good, I have not got to refer, the Copes will join us. Mr. Derek Cope next week, and Alicia Cope will join us. The 1990 Daytona 500 champion will be live on this program, everybody. For Billy Mitchell, Alan Michaels, have a good day. Billy, final word. Take us home, buddy.
Thank you all for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you on YouTube. We'll get that channel. You can like me or friend me on Facebook, Billy Mitchell in Las Vegas or Henderson. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. And if I can help you guys out with any information, I'd be glad to do that. So please have a great time. I look forward to seeing you at the races.
We certainly do. Have a good one, everybody. We're back next week for On Pit Road Racing, the WCOBM, live from downtown Las Vegas. Have a great race week, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for On Pit Road Racing. Follow us on our website, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at On Pit Road Racing. On Pit Road Racing is written and produced by WCOBM TV. I'm John the Announcer. for On Pit Road Racing.